20th day of December, year of our Lord 2019. Welcome to the John Moore Show. We begin our show the same way we began our American Legion meetings at Davisville Post 601, American Legion, Davisville, Missouri. We began our shows with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Prayer for tip of the day. I want to encourage you to plan your training sessions for 2020. This would be a great time to do it. Most people have some discretionary time between Christmas and New Year's to plan out different things. That should certainly be on your list. This morning is the first hour. We talk about the emergency survival communications, and we're going to get into some very specifics this morning concerning a thing that's going on back in Virginia. We have these discussions with my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began a quest to become quite proficient in anything and everything to do with emergency survival radio communications, ham radio, beginning half a century ago. Good morning, Tom.
Morning, John. How are you today?
Well, I'm going to share a story with you, sir, and everybody listening. Mike Adams, his website is naturalnews.com, naturalnews.com. He wrote an article that's receiving a lot of attention. We're getting some verification from independent sources already that the governor of Virginia is going to implement roadblocks specifically to search people's vehicles for firearms. What we believe is that what the governor is attempting to do is to spark a shooting war, quite frankly. If people understand the nature of American citizens, they would understand the expected pushback. And I believe everything Governor of Virginia is doing was with the intention of getting the pushback they're looking for. And Tom, I want to reach out to everybody in the state of Virginia and the surrounding states, surrounding Virginia, to stand tall and do the right thing for the right reasons, to become affiliated with county sheriffs who have made their counties sanctuary counties, with chiefs of police in the cities that have made their cities Second Amendment sanctuary cities, to become part of their militias. You know, you're probably not going to be part of a militia unless you live in that jurisdiction, but offer support in any way you can. They're going to need medical support, logistical help, cooks, daycare, mechanics, and of course communications. That's what we're going to talk about here, Tom, is the pending crisis in Virginia and how ham radio can play an important role in protecting lives and property. So, Tom, all the ham radio, licensed ham radio operators are easily findable by zip code, aren't they, sir?
Yes, that's correct, John. If you look on fcc.gov, you can search the database for all licensed transmitters in all the 50 states and the territories. They're all listed there by zip code, by state. You can search it any way you want, by name, state, zip code. Any licensed transmitter will be there.
Well, I know we have hundreds, possibly thousands of listeners in the state of Virginia, Old Dominion. I want to encourage these listeners to contact the sheriffs in these sanctuary counties, the chiefs of police in the sanctuary cities, to seek out the ham radio operators in their zip codes, make an appointment to talk to them, have them come in and visit and talk with the sheriff, talk with the chief of police, and have the chief of police or the sheriff ask for them to volunteer their expertise, their equipment during this time of crisis to help get other people trained up so that communications will continue despite efforts of the state government in Richmond, I believe. Is that Richmond? Is the state capital of Virginia, I believe, isn't it, Tom?
I believe so, yes.
Despite any efforts by the authorities to curtail communications. They may attempt to do all kinds of things, interrupt radio communications, interrupt telephonic communications, cell phone communications, internet. Anything's possible. And these sheriffs and these chiefs of police, they need a plan B, independent communications, so they can communicate with their militia in their cities and counties, don't they, Tom?
Yes, that's true, John. I saw the headline, but I did not read the article yet. I saw the headline on Steve Quayle's website. I did intend to read that sometime today, but I don't know the exact details. They're just trying to confiscate weapons? Is that it?
Well, the roadblocks would be set up to search people's vehicles, searching for firearms. I would assume ammunition also, and that's what we know. This is a breaking story. It's a developing story. We don't know who the governor intends to use. Most likely at this point it would be the state police. If things get bad enough, if there's violence, there's certainly a possibility that the governor of Virginia would ask the United Nations for help. As strange and as odd as that seems, the United Nations, we signed a treaty, Hussein Obama, I should say, signed a treaty with the United Nations that if there's civil disorder in the United States, the United Nations can come in of their own accord to help restore peace. Of course, President Trump, I don't believe, would tolerate that, but that treaty was, in fact, signed by Hussein Obama. So what it looks like right now, Tom, is roadblocks would be set up by state authorities, especially on state borders, bordering these other states around Virginia, and especially in and out of sanctuary counties. And of course, most of the counties in Virginia have become Second Amendment sanctuary counties, and many of the cities. They have a different system there than we have in Missouri, Tom, where these cities are independent of counties. And we do have one example of that, which is the city of St. Louis. It's not part of the county, it's its own county, but they have about several dozen situations like that in Virginia where cities are not part of counties and they act as their own county. So that's what we know right now, Tom, is that roadblocks will be set up going into the state of Virginia from other states, and probably on major thoroughfares where they would get the most bang for their buck. It would be very disruptive to commerce, to say the least. But if they want to start a shooting war, this is the way to do it. And we'll know in the next few days if it's going to go that direction or not. If these roadblocks are set up, I expect there to be violence within 24 hours, Tom. What do you think?
Well, I would think so. John, there's websites that people will put up. They'll use Facebook and everything else to point out where the roadblocks are. The first person that gets stopped will forward that information, and people will start avoiding that area for a while. I don't know how well that'll work. They may try to interrupt those communications. The cell phone system is relatively easy to jam, but that comes with some very harsh consequences from the Federal Communications Commission. So I don't know what they're going to try to do, but the communications will get the word out. The ham radio operators, of course, would definitely be able to get that word out, but I don't know if there's enough of them to make a big difference. I think CB radio would work too.
Well, we don't need that many. We don't need that many. One qualified ham in each jurisdiction would be enough to train others. So we don't need dozens and dozens of people. We need a qualified ham in each jurisdiction to bring everybody up to speed on what ham radio is, how it works, and how to communicate when other communication lines have been shut down and cut off.
Well, do they intend to shut down communications? Is that part of the process they're going to implement?
If I was the governor of Virginia, I would do it because I want control.
Yeah.
Of course I would. Of course I would. I know how to do this. This is what I do. I don't want these. I don't want these
They'll
sheriffs
have a tough
talking to each
time
other.
doing it.
Huh?
They'll have a tough time. The governor will have a tough time shutting down all communications. I mean, it is possible.
Well, look at what the governor wants. The governor wants disruption. He wants chaos. He wants a shooting war. What he doesn't want is these sheriffs to be able to talk to other sheriffs, these chiefs of police to be able to talk to the sheriffs, and they do that primarily. Well, there's three ways: landline telephones, cell phones, and radios. And the governor will do whatever he can to disrupt those communications. That's a given. Of course he will. To create the maximum chaos, the maximum disruption, while maintaining communications with his own people, that being the state police. I don't believe the Virginia National Guard is going to do anything violates their oath of office. And I don't know what the attitude of the Virginia Highway Patrol is, state police. If they want to have a career and a paycheck and a pension, they'll do what they're told. If they want to live to see another day, they won't.
Well, John, I don't know too much about how they operate in Virginia, but I do know some people there that are NRA members and enjoy shooting, and collect guns, have some very expensive gun collections, and I don't think these gentlemen are going to put up with too much of that. I'll say something else. They could try that in Missouri, but I don't think it would ever go over around here, John. These rural counties, I know for a fact in my county, they wouldn't participate in it, and if somehow they were forced to, I think they'd kind of selectively look the other way as certain people rolled through the checkpoint. I remember one time, years ago, some guys were, I was out in my shop, my wife and daughter came home, and some guys were in the driveway, and they wanted to come in. They said it was hot out here. They were offering some kind of service or something for sale, and she just pulled in and had the window down a little bit in the car door, the window down, and they wanted her to open the door, and she backed out real fast. I didn't know any of this was going on. I was out in the shop, and when I came out, she said they ran off. When she did that, called the sheriff's department. When they came over, it took them a half hour to get there. First thing those two cops said to my wife, "Ma'am, do you have a gun?" And she says, "Well, she did, John. She had, that same Smith & Wesson I carry in my pocket. She had it in her purse. Of course, they didn't have any, it wasn't allowed at the time. But those cops looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you get a gun, you learn how to use it, and you keep it in your purse. We can't get here fast enough. Don't worry about what the law says. Do it." And she was surprised, and so was I. But I learned real fast how they operate out here at the sticks.
Well, if there's a death, a violent death in these outlying counties, the sheriff has a question to ask first before anything else happens. Did the dead guy need killing? Now, if the dead guy needed killing, the investigation goes one way. If the dead guy did not need killing, then the investigation goes a different direction. And that's reality in most of the 113 counties once you're away from the city and county of St. Louis, Kansas City, Columbia, Springfield, and so forth. Once you get out to where people know how to think properly.
Yeah, I agree with that, John. That's pretty much the way these cops talk. They said, you're kind of on your own out here, and if you don't have a gun, you better get one. Well, she had one, but she didn't want to tell them. It was right there in her purse. So that's the same pistol I carry today. But I'll tell you something, John. That would never fly in Missouri, what they want to do in Virginia, and I don't think it's going to get very far over there. Those are some very patriotic people in that state.
That's the intent, Tom. The governor wants a violent reaction. That's why they're doing it. The goal of what the governor is doing is to have violence. That's what he wants. he cares less about the guns. He don't care about guns. He cares about what his communist handlers want him to do, which is to incite civil unrest in the state of Virginia. That's the goal, and he's going to achieve his goal.
Well, they may get a few guns, but, people will find workarounds. They'll find back roads.
You're missing the
travel.
point, Tom. They're missing the point. It's
I
not
know
about
the
guns.
point.
It's not about guns.
Yeah.
It's about inciting violence.
Yes,
They don't
I
care if they
understand
get.
that.
They don't care if they get any guns at all.
But that'll wake these people up very quickly. They may get a little bit of violence, but then they'll start organizing. They'll work it out.
That's the intent, is to get people riled up, and that's what they're doing.
We'll see what happens, but I don't know. I do know.
This is classic tactics being used here. When the governor and the Democrats, the communists who support him, when they decide to pass this legislation, they could care less about getting guns. That's not the goal. The goal is to incite violence and cause civil unrest. That's what they want. They could really care about the guns one way or the other. They're going to get what they want. They're going to get pushback in the form of violence when they set up these roadblocks. That's the goal.
Well,
so
I guess they'll hear this. They'll hear another shot that was heard around the world. It'll just be a little bit farther south this time.
Well, it's going to be a lot of shots heard around the world. We got a break coming up here. If you got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. All of you people in Virginia, find the ham radio people in your zip codes. Get them linked up with these chiefs of police and the sheriffs so they can get the communication squared away. Here's our break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
It is Friday the 20th of December. Despite all the adverse news, we are going on a cruise. I'm going on a cruise. Leon Green's going on a cruise. There's still some cabins left, and it may sound counterintuitive to be planning a beautiful time in the Caribbean while we're also talking about civil disorder, but that's, you need some R&R. Everybody needs some R&R. So check out the details of the cruise at my website at thelibertyman.com. And you can call our cruise director, Betsy Murphy, and get more details. She'll mail you a nice brochure. Betsy Murphy, our cruise director. Here's her telephone, 636-530-9502. Well, Tom, this hour is going to be a bit different than most hours we talk about emergency survival communications. I'm reaching out, and we're reaching out to all the licensed ham radio people in Virginia to make contact with their sheriffs, make contact with their chiefs of police in these sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, and offer their expertise to the sheriff because the governor will shut down the normal communications these sheriffs and chiefs of police use to the best of their ability. And Tom, we got a caller on hold here. We got Jerry in Texas. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning. Emergency communications. Uniden has come out with it's been out a year or so, I guess now, a 40-channel CB, a hybrid. I think it's called 885 Backtrack, that has scanner capability where you can scan all the public service, fire department, sheriff's department, DPS, highway, maintenance, all sorts of stuff. It's pretty neat. I don't know if y'all are aware of that or not, but that's something that I'm seriously looking at.
What's that model again there, Jerry?
I think it's a 885. Hang on here.
Just 85, that's it?
885.
885. 885, okay.
Yeah, Bear Tracker 885 by Uniden.
Okay.
I found out about that through some of my ham buddies, by the way. It's amazing things that you can learn just being on ham radio and talking back and forth. I've learned a lot in a little over a year that I've had my ticket. So, check that out. They've got it set up for kind of a GPS tracking. Speaking of beginnings, I apologize for that. I didn't realize how much this little old mic on these phones pick up in the background noise. But
that's okay. People love it, Jerry. People love it. They don't mind it at all.
Well, it can get distracting. I got where I ignore them, but anyway, it's interesting. There's a good YouTube video from Uniden. By the way, I found out they are based in Texas, East Texas, if I've got my facts right. But anyway, you plug in. There's a website that you can download and update every week, I think it is, every Monday or something. And you can put in your zip code where you are, and it will blank out everything but that particular zip code, and fire, ambulance, city, the whole spectrum there in that area. And I've seen it for around $350. And also the scheme of things, I'll probably buy one. But I think it's worth everybody looking at.
Right. Well, I got the Amazon listing on it right here. Bear Tracker 885. It has 40-channel CB, plus it has a scanner for all the emergency frequencies, and $325 shipping included.
Yeah, and from all what I've watched on the YouTube from the rep, it's about a 20-minute YouTube, if I remember correctly. YouTube University. It's user friendly. I think I can do it. So anyway, I'll get out of here, but appreciate the heads up on what's going on over in Virginia. It's all kind of coincidental that this is happening during the impeachment.
It's not coincidental. It's not coincidental. It is not.
Well, I meant that tongue in cheek, John.
I know you did.
That maybe wag the dog.
Absolutely.
Yeah, folks, have a good weekend.
Thank you for the
call. In spite of everything that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Tom, I'm looking at this Uniden here. It's a unique concept to combine the emergency frequency scanner with a CB. Very helpful, a little radio. Here's our break. Call number is 800-313-9443.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 20th day of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. You'll find lots of interesting things there that will educate you, inform you, entertain you, possibly make you angry. All those things are possible. So check out my website at thelibertyman.com. I will be speaking in Orlando Saturday, the 8th day of February. You can buy your tickets right there at my website. I look forward to seeing a lot of you there. If you have arthritis pain, what are you waiting for? You're taking prescription meds that are dangerous and expensive. Well, get yourself an energy cleaner and get away from the prescription meds. Pretty simple. Would you like to sleep as good as a small child every night like I do? Get yourself an energy cleaner. Make it a gift to yourself, an energy cleaner and a mattress pad to go with it. We have twin, full, queen, king, California king, the handy travel size. Everything's right there for sale at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. Keep in mind I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee on the energy cleaner. Don't ask your healthcare provider for a money-back guarantee. It will not be well received. In case you don't know, I'm here to tell you. Toll-free hour line for the energy cleaner and mattress pads. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. We talk about emergency communications on Fridays with Tom Berryhill. If you've got a question or comment, give us a call at 800-313-9443. And we have a pending crisis. Hopefully it will blow over with nothing untoward taking place, no violence taking place. The governor backs down. It looks like the governor won't back down, however, in the state of Virginia. I'm reaching out to all you ham radio operators in Virginia, or if you know a ham radio operator in Virginia, please contact your sheriff, if your sheriff is one of the sanctuary counties, your chief of police, if your city is a sanctuary city for the Second Amendment. Make yourself available to train others, to help the sheriff have communications if and when the governor shuts down normal communications for these sheriffs and chiefs of police. Tom, most of the time on these Friday mornings, we're talking about things in theory, for things that may happen in the future. At the moment, right now, in the state of Virginia, it looks like we may have something more than theory to be concerned about, don't we?
Yeah, it sure sounds that way. I think the ham radio operators would deploy pretty quick, John, and they would get equipment set up. They'll be able to communicate and get the word out. I think a lot of people will put information out via their cell phones, and I think that's going to really put a damper on the activities that they're trying to pull off. But we'll see what happens.
We will. We will see what happens. The country is standing by. The world is standing by. Actually, this will be international news. If it goes hot, it will be international news. And without having any evidence, my belief is that the enemy, the people behind this, are the socialists, communists, Democrats, Muslims. I lump them all together because they do have a coalition. And we shall see. We shall see, and we won't have a whole long time to wait. If it's going to happen at all, it'll happen before the end of January. What do you think, Tom?
Hard to say, John. I don't know. I'll know after it happens, if it happens. But it's apparently something they're trying to do, and the communications will be very, very important in a situation like that. That's why everybody really needs to, if they have any interest at all in ham radio, get going now and get the license, get the radio equipment, but most important, learn the on-the-air skills. I see a lot of YouTube videos and articles about people that are preppers and all this, and are all running around with a little walkie-talkie. And John, those things are great if you want to talk a couple of blocks, but you need something much better than that if you want to cover any distance. And you need to have VHF and UHF capabilities with higher power if you want to talk any reasonable distance. And then best of all, and very important, would be HF communications, where you could cover an entire region, the entire state. You're worried about the environmental things that would cause trouble, like tall mountains, things like that. You could use the lower HF frequencies and just have the antennas close to the ground. The signal will go straight up and bounce right back down all over the place. And you'll bridge those mountains like they aren't even there. It's used quite often by the military, and that will help to get the communications through. The VHF and UHF equipment will have trouble communicating in mountainous regions like that. Unless you're going from one mountaintop to another, you'll have trouble with it. But the HF is going to be very important under circumstances like this. And then operator skill is more important on the HF equipment. You have to have some skills as to how it works and how to tune it and how to set up the antennas and so on. But it's not difficult. It can be learned, but now's the time to do it, not later.
Absolutely. Well, this is the time to do it, and procrastination could literally, possibly cost lives. That's the situation we're in. If this thing goes hot, the way it looks like it could at the moment, lack of communications could literally cost lives and more extensive property damage. So it's vitally important that people pay heed, that the ham operators in Virginia offer their services. These sheriffs and chiefs of police, they may accept volunteers from other jurisdictions to get expertise they need. And reach out. Even if you live in a state nearby, Virginia, one of the adjoining states, and you want to offer your services to a sheriff or a chief of police as a ham radio volunteer, then reach out to these sheriffs and these chiefs of police and offer your services. And this has the potential of being a bona fide crisis, and people need to be aware of that, pay heed, and act accordingly, don't they, Tom?
Yeah, I think so. That's some wise advice there, John. So, yeah, they need to get with it and do it quickly, though. And again, scanners, to listen to the police and what's going on in your area is very important. And it's also very important to have your ham radio equipment, even CB equipment. There'll be a lot of chatter going on as this develops. And a lot of people will post the information on Facebook and the various discussion groups online. They'll use their phones. So that's going to make it difficult for any kind of roadblock set up, because everybody will know where it is, and they'll avoid that area and just steer clear of it. We'll see what happens, though. It's going to be interesting, to say the least.
Well, you know, what's that Chinese saying about living in interesting times? We certainly live in interesting times. You know, we're past, at the moment, we're not talking theory, we're not talking philosophy, we're not talking anything other than getting ready right now. The men and women in Virginia, these are men and women who don't need this kind of disruption in their lives. They're volunteering to help start militias. They're volunteering to help the sheriffs. One sheriff has said publicly he will deputize thousands of people in his jurisdiction, if that's what he needs to do, and he will. He'll deputize thousands of men and women they've already passed background checks, they already have concealed carry permits. Many of them are going to be veterans, and he will deputize these men and women to dramatically expand his force. These volunteers will be required to do 8 hours of service to the Sheriff's Department every month. Several thousand men and women volunteering 8 hours a month could really help the Sheriff's Department, couldn't it, Tom?
That's a lot of man hours for putting people out there, John. Yes, that would help quite a bit. And they may diffuse this whole situation just by some actions like that. They may just shut this whole
no,
thing
they
down
won't.
at the governor.
You don't get it, Tom. They don't want to avoid conflict. They want conflict. That's the goal.
No, I realize that, John, but I think that governor better have some security too.
Well, he does. He's probably got an exit strategy, probably to go to Cuba. No, the intent is to cause civil disorder. The intent is to have violence. So why would they back down? They're not going to back down. They're going to achieve their goal of having civil disorder and inciting violence. That's the goal of the governor, and he's going to achieve his goal. They're not going to back down, Tom, unless some higher authority would order him to do so. I'm not sure what that higher authority would be at the moment. It would take a lot for the president to have jurisdiction to make any, or the Department of Justice to have any legal way of shutting down the governor. It would be very difficult.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But as far as communications go, again, this is the time to do it. I don't care if you're in Virginia or any other state. It's time to really brush up on those skills, get your ham radio equipment to license, and most important, learn the on-the-air procedures, learn where these networks operate, what frequencies they're on, listen to them, and figure out how they do their communications, their on-the-air procedures, and then perhaps check in, once you have your license, check in with these networks and get on the air. Or at a minimum, listen. Just know where they are. So, and you can do this with shortwave radio. Or it's a scanner if they're on FM. If they're on VHF and UHF FM, do it with a scanner. But otherwise, shortwave radio capable of single sideband would be very helpful. There's a lot of digital communications going on now, too. So some of the equipment that's capable of digital, that's all unencrypted on the ham bands, and you can see all the conversations going on. There's quite a bit of that activity, too. The younger crowd seems to prefer the digital modes. And then when all else fails, Morse code will be the mode of transmission that gets through when nothing else will, because the equipment is so simple to do. They could confiscate all the equipment, and you could round up enough scrap stuff to put something together and make a Morse code transmitter and receiver that would work statewide at least. At a minimum, you'd be able to do that.
Right. Tom, a segue here. We have record low sunspot activities this past year. How's that affecting radio communications?
Well, the sunspot cycles, I haven't paid a lot of attention to it in recent years, but the sunspot cycle was an 11-year event, and I remember when I first got on the air in 1967, that particular cycle was one of the best ever, and it was incredible, John, what you could do with just a few watts of power. I built a little 2-transistor transmitter for 21 megahertz. That's the 15-meter band, and it had 1 watt of output. 1 or 2 watts, I don't remember exactly, but it was very, very low power to just a wire antenna strung up in a tree. I remember talking to a guy in Manila, Philippines, and I really, at first, his signal was so loud, and he said my signal was very loud. I thought it was some of my local St. Louis ham buddies spoofing, pretending to be this foreign station. But then I got the card, and I could show you the card, John. I still have it from all those years ago, and that guy said I had a great signal, and he thought I was across the street from him, all the way in the Philippines, 2 watts apart. So when the sunspot cycles are just right, and those signals are reflected, it takes very little power and very little effort in the way of big antennas and all that. You don't need it. You'll be able to get through crystal clear. Many times, though, the sunspot cycle isn't important if you're using ground wave communications. Your signals can go out over the ground for a few miles, depends on the band and the time of day, for a few miles up to maybe 100 miles or more, depending on the band, the frequency band that you're using, and day and night it's different. You want to use the lower frequencies at night, and then the higher frequencies work real good during the day. And sometimes, well, the 20-meter band is pretty good daylight and nighttime. It doesn't matter too much. You get pretty good propagation through that band, which I don't operate too much anymore. It's very congested, and everybody wants to talk to foreign stations. I'm more interested nowadays in the technical aspects of the hobby and building things and operating emergency-type communications, and that's why I'm so interested in portable equipment, things that can be used out in the field, radio equipment like that. So,
Tom, does low sunspot activity, how does it affect ham radio?
Well, it probably has affected the propagation to where maybe you can't talk as far right now. That the skip conditions are not as good. And again, what I was saying is I haven't even paid any attention in recent years to what part of the sunspot cycle we're in, because I've focused for decades now on manufacturing and making equipment that some of these ham operators would enjoy using, rather than actually getting on and talking. And when I do talk on ham radio, I don't really try to talk to any foreign stations. I've not tried to talk outside the country in a long, long time. And as a matter of fact, the last station I talked to was in Virginia. And it was a special event station, something to do with the, I'm trying to remember the name of it now, that the highway they built in 1935 through there, Blue Ridge Parkway, I think. Yes, it was a commemorative station for that, and the reason I talked to them is I was buying the radio equipment from a longtime ham friend of mine who lives in St. Louis. He was selling it, and I went to his house to buy it, and we put it on the air. I wanted to talk on it to make sure everything worked, and
hold on, Tom. We got
heard that station calling, talked to them.
We have our last break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Back, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 20th of December. Tom, there's some follow-up on Mike Adams' article titled "You Have No Idea What's Coming" at naturalnews.com. We're getting reports also of similar situation coming up soon in California and, of all places, Texas. Huge mistake to try this in Texas. The Just a quick follow-up for people. I want to encourage people to read Mike Adams' article. I'm going to have my webmaster have it posted on my website. And we live in perilous times, don't we, Tom?
Well, we really do, and of course, we always talk about emergency communications, and this is the time for people to really pay attention to the subject and get moving. If you don't want to get a ham radio license, don't do it, but get some GMRS equipment, get the UHF radios, but get the higher power mobile units. The walkie-talkies are fun to play with if you're talking a few blocks. Not going to help you out if things get bad. You need higher power.
Right.
The problem with GMRS is that you're stuck to a handful of channels, and that's it. Whereas if you get into ham radio, you just dial in any frequency in the ham bands that you want to use, and there's a tremendous amount of space that you'll be able to use and operate on.
Which gives you some more privacy and a lot more options.
Absolutely. And if they could come in and try to jam or shut down the GMRS type radios or even all the CB channels, they'd have a tough time doing that to the ham operators. These guys are innovative, and they'd come up with fixes and workarounds, and it would be quite a difficult task for any government entity or state agency or federal agency to really shut things down. I guess if it broke out into a civil war, the FCC could just say everybody is off the air, like they did in World War II. They just shut down ham radio for the duration of the war. They could say that, but, John, I don't think these people with all this radio equipment is just going to turn it off and wait till there just won't be any call signs.
That will never be regarded as an unlawful order by the FCC if they did that, and it would not be respected or followed.
Yes. So, but the thing is, you need the skills. You need the equipment now, not later, and you need to develop the skills to operate it. And you really need scanners. At a minimum, you need a scanner that will pick up the law enforcement in your local area, all the public utility channels, anything, power company, the road crews, anything where you would gather information to find out what's happening, and then also a shortwave radio, and you must have single sideband capabilities, or you will not hear the most important transmissions. Being a ham operators, and even the government and military stations that operate in the shortwave spectrum, they all use usually upper sideband. And there'll be a lot of data communications going on, which I would assume is mostly encrypted. But you might be able to pick up on some of that if you have the skills to set up and operate computer equipment interface with the radio. So many of these newer ham units have a USB port on them, and it's real simple to plug a laptop in or a tablet.
That's right.
And
Tom, we are out of time. We are out of time. Thank you very much. Have a back.
Thanks, John.
Got a top of the hour break. Be back with you. Say something. Work with your team. Pick out the day. Monthly training would be good. Most people can fit that in their schedule. So that's your prepper tip of the day, is to plan your training for 2020. We have a patient waiting in the green room, my friend Dr. Lynn Wilbert. Dr. Wilbert is my personal physician, and we'll be talking about health-related matters. If you need a private consultation, just give Dr. Wilbert a call. Here's his personal cell phone number. That's 314-495-6480. Good morning, Doctor.
Greetings, John Moore. Another privilege, and I'm so thankful to be here.
Well, I am thankful to be here as well, sir. It's a privilege to be alive on this planet and live in this wonderful country. Well, we're coming up on the time of year when people eat too much unfamiliar, tasty foods, don't they, sir?
Oh, my goodness. You're talking about increased stress. Increased food intake is an increased stress. Yes, indeed, especially if you're not accustomed to doing it. If we look around the country, a number of the people, and it's over 50% now, it's probably more like 60% of the people are carrying too many pounds, and so they've had a little practice at it, But then to overwhelm the digestive system all of a sudden when there's an increase of stress, an increase of activity, and there's an increase of everything on your system, it brings about problems or issues that your tissues have to deal with.
It does. So people are going to be attending multiple Christmas parties, get-togethers, and so forth. What would you recommend people do when they attend these? And of course, cooks expect you to consume some of what they spent hours and hours preparing. So what's the right thing to do in terms of consuming these unfamiliar foods in many cases, or too much food? How can you be polite and still not hurt yourself?
Well, I've personally been practicing. I could probably run a marathon after about 6 months of training. But what most people do this time of year is that they do a food marathon with very little training. And yes, we'll get through it if we ran a marathon tomorrow, but it would be at a cost. And it's the same thing with consuming so much food. So I already experienced it around Thanksgiving. My son is a chef, and he says, "Dad, I'm cooking on Thursday." And when a chef invites you, I'm there. The best chef on the planet. And so I knew going in that it was going to be delicious food. And so I just grazed while I was observing my grandchildren and talking with the people that were there. And then I had a small meal, a small plate. And, of course, I took some home with me. And so moderation is the key. Sugar is a lot worse for you than salt, believe it or not. In order for you to utilize the very tight covalent bond in a sugar molecule, you have to use all of the available vitamins and minerals to get this very high energy bond from sugar. And then after you get the high energy bond and you get shot to the moon, it drops you off anywhere in the ocean. So now you have to do it again. And so if you're going to consume sugar, it's consume very little sugar. Some people are sugar immune. I'm sugar sensitive. If I eat a brownie, I'm going to be popping off the walls for a couple hours or so. The other thing is, if you choose to consume sugar, and it's very hard to resist, the worst thing you can do is to tell yourself, "Oh, this is so good. I shouldn't be eating this. I should not be eating this." Well, in my world, if you do enough shouldas, at the end of the day, you have shouldas all over yourself, and that's not a good place to be. So I shouldn't be eating this, but you eat it anyway. Well, that's a contradiction, and it's also called guilt. The guilt associated with consuming sugar is much more toxic, much more detrimental to your physiology than the sugar. And so if you choose to do sugar, enjoy it, because I can guarantee you your taste buds are having a party. They are jumping up and down. They are rejoicing, kicking their heels in the air. And so what you say is, I'm going to enjoy this delectable, sugary dish. Liver, pancreas, kidneys, just hold on. I apologize. I won't do it tomorrow. I may do it the day after tomorrow, but I won't do it tomorrow.
Right.
And you enjoy the meal. And the next important thing, John, and this is more important than shitting all over yourself, if you happen to be consuming or ingesting anything, and the conversation at this party, whether it's friends, co-workers, or family members, and the conversation goes to a present, past, or future experience that promotes a feeling that's less than positive, less than love, joy, peace on earth, goodwill to all men, which is the theme of the season, which I can't wonder why it doesn't go 365 and a quarter years per year. And so if you happen to run off road with a less than positive thought, feeling, and emotion, stop right there. Stop right there. And where do you stop? You stop eating. Stop eating. Rare is the individual that can run off road into an emotional state of upsetness and snap back instantly to positivity. That's a rare individual. I'm not saying it can't be done, but once you delve into that pool of muckness, whether you went there voluntarily or somebody lassoed you and drug you over there, stop eating, resolve the issue with a positive outcome. Well, I learned a lot from that, and my resolve is I'm just going to stay happy no matter what. No one can make me upset or anything. And spin that moment back to positivity. And once you are sure that whatever the discussion was centered around at that moment, you are pacing a positive moment. See, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between a past tense recollection of an experience, a present tense contemplation of something going on later that day, or a future experience later that day or tomorrow. It cannot differentiate between those moments. And so when you clean up, so to speak, that emotional turmoil that inevitably happens during these kinds of gatherings, this time of year, and I mentioned before, the number one time period in the year when more people die of heart attack than any other week is the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. And it's already started. We haven't gotten to Christmas yet. Increased stress, increased activity, increased spending of money, you've increased every aspect of your life. Now, what happens is when you increase the load on a system, you must increase output. You must increase output, but most of us don't know how to do that, how to become more productive after we've overeaten. And of course, I agree. I tend to resist that because my body doesn't like for me to consume so much food. And so when my body gets my attention, I pay attention to it. So the best thing, moderation. If you're going to do sugar, be thankful that you're able to enjoy such a delectable dish. My son is a pastry chef, and he just creates all kinds of things. Taste buds, having a party, liver and kidney, join the party. Just don't do it again the next day. The day after, you probably will have sufficiently recovered from the poison. Yeah, sugar is poison. And then do it again. The key is moderation. And the biggest key is to make sure if you run off track doing ingestion of anything, whether it's liquid or food, you stop eating. Because what happens in the process of emotional, whether it's imaginary or real, if the bear came and interrupted the Christmas party, the party would disband. Period. There would not be a discussion. And so the number one bear, again, in the human being's life is emotional upsetness. So when the bear comes, you stop eating. Most people don't. Most people continue to eat. And so with the bear chasing you, that's a different aspect of your nervous system. That's a different division of your nervous system. That's called sympathetic. Fight, flight, or fright. Sympathetic. All digestion shuts down. The blood is shunted to the muscles. Internal organs, blood shunted so that you don't digest food anymore. The primary objective is for you to survive by getting away from the bear.
Right.
Parasympathetic response. Food right. Eating, it's a sympathetic response. Food is a parasympathetic response. That's why after a big meal, the tendency is to go sit on the couch or lay down for a little bit. Well, the body would rather you rest while it's utilizing and extracting raw materials from food. The best thing to do is after a meal, wait a few minutes and go for a leisurely walk while you converse about the season and how wonderfully well everybody's trying to be happy and loving and all of this. So, there's ways to survive it, but it's a challenge. It really is.
It is. Well, Dr. My plan, I'll be going to several events where there's going to be lots of tasty food. I'll get a plate, and I know from past experience there's going to be it'll be one or two meat selections and probably 6 or 8 side dishes. I'll get a tablespoon or a partial tablespoon of each side dish, and of course a moderate portion of meat. And that one plate is all I will consume. Then I'll have maybe half a piece of pie at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's still more than I normally eat, but it's not overdoing it.
Exactly. Again, you mentioned it, moderation. Moderation, and I want to talk about for just a second here, a minute or so, about the concept of food combining. Protein is a different enzyme than starch. And so the body prefers the low energy output to get energy from carbohydrate. And so when I do the same thing you do, John, I just get a little bit of this, a little bit of that, whatever meat is there, and I start in on the meat first. I eat most, if not all, of the meat first. If I want something to go with the meat, it'll be a green leafy vegetable, kale or collards or green beans, and you clear off the meat, you clear off most of the vegetables, and then you go to the dressing and the dessert. That way you create protein precursor enzyme so that when carbohydrate hits the stomach, it will be digested because protein enzyme is already there. But if you do it in reverse, if you eat a bite or two of the roll and some dressing and put some turkey with that, laden with tryptophan, the body's going, oh yeah, we're going to get some instant energy now. Not necessarily nutrients, but instant energy. And so then you get around to the meat. Well, the body is not going to shift midstream from enzyme that digests carbohydrate to enzyme that digests protein. It just won't do it. And so again, you have this undigested protein migrating through the intestinal tract, and undigested protein, it ferments, it putrefies, it lands in the colon undigested. The colon can't do anything with it because it hasn't been sufficiently broken down. So it can't assimilate any minerals or B12 or anything, so it stays there. And acidic, fermented, putrefied protein is extremely acidic, so the body protects itself by putting a capsule around it. It encapsulates the fermented, putrefied protein, and it's called a polyp. And polyps grow into cancer. And most of the time it has to be removed. And then you revise your lifestyle. So, again, the tip is, eat your meat first, and then vegetables, followed by the carbohydrates. And your system will handle that because, again, the digestive tract works perfectly. There's no such thing as indigestion. There's no such thing as acid reflux. We've been sold on that. Gastrointestinal reflux disease. Oh, well, that's a perfect response. I mean, that's a description to the body's perfect response to improper food combining. Improper food combining. I'm a chemist. In order for me to become a physician, I had to learn chemistry, and I resisted it for a long time. But life begins at the cell level, and that's what chemistry is. Chemistry explains how life works. what makes it work, how it interacts with everything. And so once you understand that there are some rules that you can bend a little bit during this festive time of year, and again, I can't figure out why we can't keep this going the entire year. You know, I looked at the word Christmas. Mas in Spanish means more. You remember some decade or so ago, Roberto Duran and Sugar Ray Leonard were in a boxing match, and what was it, the third round or so? Roberto Duran says, no mas. He wouldn't come out for the fourth round. No mas, no mas. Mas means more.
Hold that thought, Doctor, and we got a break. Call number is 800-313-9443. We're going on a cruise. Valentine's Day will be right in the middle of it, so it can be romantic if you choose it to be. We're leaving Orlando, Florida, Sunday the 9th, returning Saturday the 16th. I'll be speaking in Orlando the day before, Saturday the 8th of February. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. I've already had enough of winter. It's not even officially winter yet. So join myself and Leon Green. It'll be a lot of fun. Call our cruise director to reserve a cabin. Our cruise director, Betsy Murphy. Her number is 636-530-9502. I say again, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you want a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, just give him a call. If he doesn't pick up, leave voicemail for him. The telephone for Dr. Wilbert is 314-495-6480. Well, Doctor, it's easy to predict that most people, most of the time, during the next 2 weeks, will eat more food than they should, isn't it?
Yes, that's the tradition in this country, John, is to consume more at this time of year. I don't know where it came from.
I've seen sweaters. I've seen Christmas sweaters that say the following: Christmas calories don't count.
Well, that's wishful thinking.
It is. It's funny on one hand, but
again,
right.
well, the numbers prove it. If Christmas calories didn't count, why would people die of heart attack during the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve? Well, let's just consider everything that's going on, and we kind of talked about it. You increase every aspect of your life. There's more activity. There's more anxiousness. There's more anxiety. There's more stress. But there's not more of you. Still just one of you. You just increase your activity by 5 or 10-fold. And you do that day after day after day. So that's why I said if you enter to this holiday season and you're consuming food, if you tend to eat a little much one day, eat a lot less the next day. Give your system time to recuperate so you can do it again if that's the choice that you make. However, you cannot expect, and again, I can't think of a different analogy other than the one where you can't run a marathon tomorrow. You can, but it's costly. Your systems are put under too much immediate stress without giving your system an opportunity to adapt to the increased stress. Remember, I spoke about Hans Selye, the father of stress, early 1900s. Yes. Did a bunch of research, Selye, Hans Selye, on the body's ability to handle stress. And remember, our system handles stress perfectly. It can't choose to handle stress one way and then handle stress differently the next time you're presented with the same stress. Here's a simple analogy. Again, let's go outside, run around the block twice, come back, sit down, take our blood pressure. Blood pressure is elevated, 220 over 110, 120. And then depending on your degree of fitness, it would recalibrate within minutes. Why would it recalibrate? Because you're not running. Why did it go up? Because you're running. Running is a stress. Eating a banana is a stress. If you ate a banana and the environment of your stomach did not change, you die. So your body adapts to stress instantaneously, perfectly, every time. And so here's an individual that's taking high blood pressure medication. Why? Because the blood pressure is elevated. The pressure within the vessels have increased. And if you don't have elastic, flexible vessels, you might rupture one of them somewhere. That's not what we want. And so if you continue to run in a closed thermodynamic circulatory system, the pressure increases. When the pressure increases, the heart has to work harder. When the heart has to work harder, the lungs have to work harder. When the lungs have to work harder, you have to breathe harder. And so, since you are in this prolonged running state, they say you can't do that or else you will bust a vessel in your head or in your body. So let's give you some medications to help you come back to normal blood pressure. Well, normal blood pressure is elevated when you're running.
Hold that thought, Doctor. Hold that thought. We have a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday. It is Friday, the 20th day of December, I believe. Yes, we got one more Friday before the year's over. Getting close to the end here. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. Lots of interesting things there. Daily intelligence briefing is still behind. We're working on... Oh, it is caught up. Praise the Lord. We're caught up. The daily intelligence briefing, we were behind there for about a week, but My friend Doug Hagman, he likes to go there every day and check it out. It's a great way to stay up on geopolitical matters worldwide. The Daily Intelligence Briefing at thelibertyman.com. Also, my website, if you're dealing with arthritis pain, you don't need to do that. Get yourself an energy cleaner, and the arthritis pain will be mitigated. What a great deal. $285 shipping included. The mattress pads that go with them, they do vary in price depending on what you need. Twin size, full, queen, king, California king. What could be simpler? You set up the energy cleaner with 9 batteries, plug in the mattress pad, and all you need to do is sleep like you do every night. And you'll get the best sleep you've had since you were a small child, by the way. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. And keeping in mind the following, for you doubting Thomases out there, I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. A toll-free hour line 24 hours a day. Don't try to call me, order line only. 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you need a private consultation, he'd be glad to talk to you. If you don't get him when you call, just leave a message. He'll get back with you. These are the holidays and everybody's busy. The telephone number for Dr. Wilbert is 314-495-6480. And if you got a question or comment, you're certainly welcome to call us here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. Let's continue, Doctor.
All right, John. We have a situation where, and again, it's very typical in this country for a person to be on high blood pressure medication. And so it's obvious that it doesn't work because a person that starts taking medication for any reason, but we'll keep it simple with blood pressure. It's the same analogy with any medication that you start taking, because at one time you weren't taking it, and then you started taking it. And so that would be the first question. Well, doctor, why did I stop making the drug and I didn't need it before? Because I've been coming and I didn't need it. Now I'm coming and I need it. So why do I need it? You get varying answers. Well, the reason why you need it is because you stopped making it. Well, doctor, why did I stop making it? And again, you would get varying answers to that question. And then somehow they could convince you that you must take it for the rest of your life because you can't make it again, which is simply not true. And so, again, your system, not just your body, the body is the perfect messenger. So your body is the messenger, and then there's a part of your body that's run by a part of your brain called your subconscious, which knows everything about how your body is functioning on the inside. Everything, red blood cell count, who just got recycled, sodium levels, blood sugar levels, white blood cell levels, everything necessary to be alive, to survive, your subconscious is in charge of. Next is your conscious. Now, your conscious mind observes your external environment. It monitors your external environment. And so if you see a bear running toward you, adrenaline, heart pump, breathe, run, period. If you smell smoke, it's the same response. So your conscious monitors your external environment and then feeds to the hypothalamus, which is part of your subconscious. And then there's a part that we don't think about much. That's called our energy field. That's where your energy cleaner comes in at, John. I've been doing a little research on pulsed electromagnetic frequency and how important it is to add to, it's an adjunct. You add to your health level. We need all the help that we can get.
That's right.
So your energy field is influenced by many different things, from a wall switch to a television to a computer to the airplane, and everything that has an electrical component to it, it interferes with your energy field. And so when those things, those 4 entities, those other 3 entities, energy field, clogged up, mucked up, holes in the field, your conscious is focused on things that don't matter, like imaginary emergencies. Oh, the country's in turmoil. You can't do nothing about that. Hope for the best.
That's right. We can. Doctor,
hope for the best. Whatever.
We have a caller here. Let's take our caller, John in Tennessee. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Good morning, Doctor. I've got a couple questions and then a quick comment. you're talking about blood pressure. It seems when I was younger, I remember like 120 over 80 was perfect. 140 over 100 was okay. 130 over 90, as long as you had about a 40-point spread between the upper and lower, they weren't concerned. So at some point, things changed. First of all, is it healthy to be 140 over 100, 120 over 80, 130 over 90? Is that all good blood pressure?
Well, I can accept 120 over 80. 140 over 100 is slightly elevated. 130 over 90 is slightly elevated. 120 over 80 was considered the norm. But now they've lowered it. They want you to be more closer to 110 over 70. So if you go to a doctor's office today and you're above that, they will try to convince you to take blood pressure medication. And see,
and I agree. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, go ahead. Yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay, I agree, but because of the job that I have, they want me to be 130, 130 over 90 or 130 something in the 80s or 120 over 80. So I took the pill to pass the physical because I feel fine. So I do what I have to do. Now here's the question.
What job do you have?
Here's the question for you. You mentioned electronics and the airplane and the television and the computer. We're swimming in a Wi-Fi pool. So a couple questions. If Wi-Fi and electricity and EMF can affect your body because we are electrical human beings. Excuse me, but I think there's a means to the madness. There's a method. There's a reason. And the reason is there's a lot of money in pharmacology. And if they can get everybody on something, they can make a ton of money. So my question is, what can you do? I mean, even if you're no Wi-Fi in your house, you've got an analog meter on your house, you don't watch television, you do everything you can to stay. I mean, we're swimming in the deep end of the pool, and it's affecting people's health. So why?
You got that right. You have it absolutely right, John, because if you go outside, every person walking has their neck bent forward looking at their cell phone. So even if you don't have a cell phone, if you don't have these electronic things going on, you still are swimming in the pool of electromagnetic toxicity. It's called electrosmog. I'm
convinced it's by design. There are people that are not concerned with whether you live or die, or John Moore lives and dies. When you come to a point where you've done well in your life and you've put up a little bit of something for your older age, they're going to get it from you. They're going to do their best to make you sick, to go to their doctor who has been practicing medicine for 40 years, who is in a white coat, putting on a piece of paper, sending you to his dope-dealing friend legally. That's what it is to me. Am I wrong?
I'm liking you more and more. I'm liking you more and more. That's called sick care in this country. Sick care. In my opinion, if it's not the richest, it's one of the richest industries in this country, the pharmaceutical industry. And last time I checked, the president of the Pharmaceutical Association was past president of the American Medical Association. That's how close a bedfellows they are. So you're right on top of it. And so what they've done and they've done it with cholesterol levels, they lower the levels, and then they scare you into thinking that if you don't do this, you're going to die sooner than later. In order for you to live, you're going to have to take this poison, even if it's free. Oh, my insurance company pays for my drugs and medications. Okay, good. And so if they work, seems like you would take a few for a little while and then less later. That's hardly ever the case unless you figure out why your blood pressure is elevated when you're sitting still. Now, John, what kind of
no one told me. I drive a truck, but no one told me don't drink 3 cups of coffee before you go get your blood pressure checked. And that's what elevated it. And then the nurse finally said, "Have you had coffee today?" "Yeah." "How much?" "About a pot." So here's truck drivers drink coffee. Here's what I would like to say. First of all, is that and they send you for your physical at the end of the day, naturally. So here's the thing. What it amounts to. We all grew up. John, I know that you'll get this. Love potion number 9, the witch is going to mix it up in the sink. And every movie that we've watched as a child, the witch or the sorcerer had a black book. Well, I drive a truck. I made a delivery. I made a delivery to Eli Lilly of acetone that was so strong that if you breathed it, it would kill you. And I'm taking it to Eli Lilly. And I said, "What do you do with this?" He said, "Well, we take a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we mix it all together, and we make you feel better." So they're covering symptoms using poison, and they do not have any intention, doctor, of healing anybody. They want to treat the symptoms and make you feel better. They don't want you to change your lifestyle. Just, can you pay for this drug? And if you can't help, AstraZeneca may be able to help you.
Let's let the doctor respond to your comments. Or great comments, John, by the way. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Doctor, John had you belly laughing there for very good reason, because what he was saying is so accurate, isn't it?
Yes, it is, John. Again, one of the richest, if not the richest industry in this country is pharmaceuticals. And that just depicts the sick care in this country. They will have you take medication for the rest of your life. Now, we're not living any longer. We're just contributing sooner to the pharmaceutical fund.
Right.
And like John said, they figure out a way to extract it from you. Now, I qualify for, what are those benefits, retirement benefits?
Medicare.
They made me join Medicare. I create my own health savings account in case I need it. Now I'm paying the government for something I probably will hardly ever. I'm going to figure out some way to use it. I will. But that's what we do in this country. I've relocated my office, John, to the Central West End. It's no longer in my home.
Oh, okay.
It's 4818 Washington Boulevard in the Central West End. And it's, probably top 5 best decisions I've made because of the exposure. Instead of sick care, I'm going after my marketing is to the premier athletes, the youngsters who are concerned about their health, that don't want to get on medications, and that are making a difference in this world today just based on what everybody's doing and where we're going. And so my message is lifestyle modification. And so when I go into the office, the community manager makes what's called a home brew coffee. And I love coffee. And I found myself drinking 1 or 2 or 3 cups of coffee per day. And after about 4 or 5 days, I'm saying to myself, why is it so difficult for you to calm down, Leonard? Calm down. And so I go into my meditative state, and then finally I said, you know what? You don't drink coffee. My wife was a coffee drinker. If people that buy Starbucks every day knew what they were buying from Starbucks and what it was doing to them, Starbucks would go out of business across the world in a month. And so I arrested that activity, and now I'm drinking green tea, chamomile. I'm a tea drinker, ginseng tea, and my calmness has come back. I don't need coffee. I'm a pretty excited guy as it is. So yes, John, 5 cups of coffee, 3 cups of coffee, and what they don't do, you're supposed to be seated in a quiet environment for at least a half hour to an hour before checking blood pressure. And then if it's slightly elevated, then you check it again the next time. You get an average of those 3 visits, and then you prescribe the medicine, but most people don't do that. You go, oh, your blood pressure is elevated. Let me share this with the doctor. Next thing you know, you walk out with a prescription, which creates more things than what you got. I had he fought in the Korean War. He said, "Doctor, I only finished the 7th grade." I went to the doctor, and I told him I had 3 things, and he gave me some medication that had about 8 things that I might get. Now, it seemed like to me, Doc, if I take it, I'm going to get it. So 3, I'm not an educated man, but I can add. 3 plus 8 is 11. I don't want 11 things, so I'm going to stay with my 3.
Right.
Just simple logic 101. And if you change your lifestyle, if you modify your lifestyle and stay in this calm state, it's written somewhere, a calm heart is the life of the body, the fleshly organism. A calm heart. What happens when the heart is not calm? It flutters. It gets upset. Your respiration rate changes. You can't think straight. It's called discoherence, according to Dr. Alan Watkins. Go ahead and YouTubing and mentioning YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and I'll be expanding on it as we go. It's Dr. Wilbert, WILDRT.com. Go to YouTube, search drwilbert.com. You get an overview of AccuTouch and what I do to synchronize energy-filled brain, body, and then you go home and change your lifestyle. And the response is what? Perfect. Perfect. Let's get into our minds. We're not sick, we're surviving. So
we have our last break.
All righty.
Hold on.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
All right, we are back. Ladies and gentlemen, we're back. J.R. Moore here on Friday, the 20th of December. Doc, we got about 3.5 minutes here, sir.
All righty, John Moore. You know, we're about in the same age category. I'll be 48 on my next one, 68 years young. And what I've learned about life is that life is about having fun. Life is about having fun. And one of the ways that you can have fun is to be able to, to be like a child, to let it go. You put a group of 5-year-olds together, and inevitably, about a half hour later, you're going to have somebody with a difference of opinion. And so you resolve it, and then minutes later, they're back to best buddies. We've learned not to do that as human adults. We've learned to hold on to grudges and resentments and bring things up that have zero relevance for the present or the future. The only purpose the past serves is for you to learn. And if you're still here, you still have the opportunity to learn. And most, if not all, the people on this call today love learning. I know I do. So as long as you're alive, you have an opportunity to learn. You have to be willing to learn. You have to be willing to open up your mind. You have to be willing to do research with the advent of the Internet information highway. I mean, there's all kinds of information out there. And you just have to look at it and realize that everything you read on the Internet is not necessarily true. But how do you know it's true? Look at nature. Look at nature. Even though we have snow on the ground in the Midwest, look at the trees. They're budding, getting ready for the spring. And so if you live through this moment, if you woke up this morning, Ed Foreman say, some people wake up in the morning and say, "Good morning, God." Ed Foreman is a motivational speaker. He's 500 years old now. "Good morning, God." And other people wake up in the morning and go, "Good God, it's morning." If you wake up like that any morning, go back to sleep and wake up again. That's called waking up on the wrong side of the bed. Alive is fun, and it's about learning and not only enhancing your health, but the health of humankind. See, we don't know that what we put out, we get back. And who does it affect? It affects every other live human on the planet. Every other person on the planet. It either affects them from a positive standpoint and enhances humankind or not. Or not. And so it's bigger than just ourselves. We're all part of a human family. There's no individual races. We're all human beings. We're all being human. And we have the same requirements for productivity and longevity. That's love, peace, joy, happiness. Become a pro in letting go anything that doesn't feel good. And the thought that you have that doesn't feel good, your responsibility to yourself and humankind, change it to a thought that feels good. Use your imagination. I had a person tell me one time, say, "Doctor, I don't pretend. I'm an adult. I deal with reality." Well, that's why you can't walk standing up straight. It's because you can't pretend. Everything you see, everything you experience with your five senses is history.
Doctor, thank you, sir. Have a great Christmas. We'll have you back next Friday.
Awesome. Have a great one, John.
Thank you, sir. That's it for the day. That's it for the week. Get your medical supplies, your energy cleaning, your essential oils now while you can, your firearms ammunition.